Hello, yay! Welcome to Hocus Focus, Mystical Tools for Spiritual Explorers. I'm Megan Rounds. I am a spiritual connector and founder of Mystical Mashup, and I'm so happy you're here today. I'm here today with Amber Poole. We're going to talk about working with Cardinal Directions, and I'm super excited for this topic. I hope you are as well. Today's guest is a Usui Reiki and Crystal Reiki master, as well as an ordained minister and shaman who is taught directly by her spirit team, which I think is just super cool. Residing in Maryland with her husband, 2 kids, and 2 dogs, she owns and operates the Crystal Reiki Center, which is a place for crystal Reiki, psychic and medium readings, as well as healing. In her free time, she enjoys playing the guitar and making gnomes. I just really want to see some of these gnomes, Amber. Yep. She's currently registering students for her 8-week program, the Shamanic Healing Journey, which we'll talk briefly about following our discussion. Please give a heartfelt welcome to the Chakra Diva, Amber Poole. Hi, Amber.
Hi. So nice to be here, Megan.
Oh my gosh, it's great to have you here. And thank you for your patience while we work through this tech stuff again. Just a never-ending thing of technology challenges, which is fun in some ways, but not when I'm about to go live.
I love it.
I am really excited to talk about the Cardinal Directions. It's something, so personally, I had to look up what that meant. And then I'm like, oh, it's like north, south, east, and west. I know there's a lot more to it than that, but it was like, oh, I never made that connection before. So my hope is that you will share with us your knowledge of the Cardinal Directions, in a general introductory way, what they are, what we might use them for, and you can take the lead on any way you want to do this. I know you wanted to start with some drumming, right?
I'm going to finish with the drumming so that we can all put everything together, if that's cool.
Excellent.
So I wanted to mention to you how I got started into the shamanic practices, as we call them. And it was actually at Bliss Retreat at 2018. And with Lightworkers Lab. So I went there and I was under so much stress that weekend that I ended up having seizures while I was there.
Oh my gosh.
So I know. So I left the Bliss Retreat and met my mom in Boulder. So if I got back 1:00 in the morning from watching all of everybody's, workshops and things like that, I got up at 5:30 a.m. to go to Boulder so I could visit my mom for a day, who lives with me in Maryland. She just wanted to see what Boulder was like.
Sure. Well, how fortunate.
So we just flew in there for the day. And I was under so much stress, and I didn't realize that a part of MS is you can have seizures, but I wasn't diagnosed at that time with MS. And my body started to obviously have these mini seizures, and I was like, why can't I stop shaking? What's wrong with this? And I was in, it's high altitude and things like that. Yeah. So I just kept saying, I need to drink more water. I'm under a lot of stress because I kept, moving around and doing so many things, teaching, reading in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And I ended up putting, my mom would come over. We were in the hotel room and she's like, let's not go out. Let's just lay here for a minute. You can get better. And she tried to give me Reiki. And I was like, no, Mom, this isn't right. And I was so agitated because I didn't understand what was happening. I've never had a seizure before. She wanted to take me to the hospital, which put me more in fear because I'm like, why? I want to be home. I'm not supposed to be here. And I was really, really freaking out. And I just got out of the bed and I put my hands on the ground and I called back my energy. And I've never done that before. And I said, I call back my energy from the north. I call back my energy from the east. And I was doing all the directions. And I had my eyes shut as my hands were on the floor. And I got directly put into a forest. And I had long black hair. And I was dancing around and doing some kind of ritual as I was saying this stuff. And it was so profound for me that within a few minutes, I stopped having a seizure. All my energy, my whole body returned. I got up, went back to bed, and I slept for 6 hours straight, got up, went onto the plane the next morning, and I returned back to normal.
Wow.
And I went, what just happened? Like, I don't know where I got that download of information to do that. I don't understand, because nobody taught that to me.
Mm-hmm.
It just came to me. And then I saw that visual of that meditation as I was in that space. So that's what opened the door for me to step into these cardinal directions, because there has to be something more than the northeast, southwest, right?
Yeah.
So I start doing research, and there's a few things that I really love to do. Number one, my grandfather is Cherokee Indian. He's from North Carolina, but we don't discuss anything. He's crossed over, so I can't. I mean, I could talk to him, but I don't have any, like he didn't teach us anything. I just know where he was from.
Sure.
I have that aspect. I'm very drawn to Ireland. So we have like the Druidries over there. There's different levels. I never went to Peru, right? So I don't know how to do the shamanism from Peru or anything like that. And as I was like doing all this research, I found out I have a chief that I go to see. He's Lakota. So he's a Lakota chief that comes over here in Maryland. And I'm starting to talk to him, and I'm pulling together different things. And I've realized that in my practice, everything that I've done is, quote, shamanic practices. So if we are doing soul retrieval, I can do that. If we're doing soul extraction, I know how to do that. But working with the medicine wheel was like a new part of that for me that I got to step into. So the wheel itself is a philosophy of life. It's not something that you can jump in at any time, anywhere that you are on the wheel. I just drew. Can you see that, Megan?
Yes. I can see north, south, and west, and eternity and wholeness.
Fantastic. So there's the medicine wheel, it's very complicated, and it's not complicated. It's as complicated and as layered as you want it to be. So depending upon who you are studying from, like maybe if you're studying from the Lakota tribe, you will learn different animals goes with that than, somebody over in Peru. So it depends on where your knowledge is coming from that you will get information around the wheel. But I didn't know anything about this wheel. I was just excited about this north. So I sat in my direction. I took out my compass on my phone. You get a compass?
Yep.
And I was like, where is north in my room? And I was like, okay, it's right here, which I thought I always face. And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And I started to I had these little, I've always had them. They're little rattles. Mm-hmm. And I started to take them. And I would call forth the energy of the north, the energy of the east, the energy of the south. And when I called upon the energy of the north, in my third eye, saw this huge buffalo running towards me. And I was like, what is going on? And when buffalo came up to me, it felt like I knew buffalo for such a long time. Like it was meeting an old friend. I'm getting chills.
Me too.
I love the spirit team. But I never really worked with animals until I started calling in the directions. Oh, and then I would just keep notes. And I didn't know what I was doing yet. And I just went, oh, that's interesting. I saw a buffalo in the north. I have Black Panther with me over here. I have my bird for me is a phoenix. So
wow.
First time I met Phoenix, I said, are you an owl? And he's like, no. And I said, what are you? Because I didn't have that word in my dictionary. And I would look on the back and I said, are you a dragon? He said, no. And I just, in my meditation, I just kept going, what are you? I don't get it. You get to meet these spirit animals too. And for me, it was such a deeper connection to have with spirit than it was in this way of, I want to open up my third eye. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
It took me to a whole new level of connection with spirit, with God, with oneness that I really adore, and I fell in completely. So back to the medicine wheel, which is obviously different from practitioner. There's something called journeying that we do that I will explain a little bit about that as well. But we work with the medicine wheel depending upon a few things. So if you want to do it by age, you can look at what age you are and find out where your development is at. If you want to look at the medicine wheel by the timeline, meaning if it's 2:00 right now, we're in the west direction. Is it west? I think it's west. I'll have to look at my notes. Is it the west direction?
Well, it depends on which way you're looking at the wheel. If you're facing the wheel, then would it be east?
No, there's certain time zones.
Oh, okay.
For each one. Yeah.
Okay.
So very, very deep and intricate, and yet it doesn't at all. So I decided at the beginning of last year that I was going to what we call walk the medicine wheel. And winter has always been the most, my most hated, dreadful season there is, because I hate the cold. I don't like snow. I like warm. I like beach. So I've always tried to push through winter and say, oh, well, when is spring going to be here? When's the sun going to come out? And this time last year, I got to really sit with winter and what does winter represent? And that began my journey on the medicine wheel. So I'm going to go through different things to tell you, like different aspects of the wheel, and then how you can use them within your life now. The program that I'm starts now, which is winter. This is about introspective. It's about hibernation. It's about tuning in and getting messages from your guides and your spirit team. I mean, what else are we supposed to be doing while it's winter? We're not active, right?
Right.
We're just...
Well, I could say I'm not.
I'm not. I don't want to be active. You just look into that introspective of who you are and where you want to go. So we're talking about the 4 directions. There's actually 7 directions in all. So there's the north, east, south, west, but there's also above, and so below. So you have Father Sky, when you call in like the spirit team, your angels, your guides from higher realms. And then you have earth, which is below. That is also a direction. You're calling in the elementals, you're calling in the rock people and crystals. And then you also have the center, and that's from within. Oh. So if you want to think of the center as in you're pulling all of the directions, that's when you find balance. You're pulling all of the directions in to this beautiful balance within yourself.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that depth. You know, it adds some context and just more meaning to the directions than heading north in my car or something, you know?
Right. Because I was like, how deep can I really go with being in north? And you can keep going down into the layers. So I wanted to say it's about who I am and what do I believe. The time of day is from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Oh.
And why is that? It's because you're sleeping. You're in Dreamville. So if we're talking about it being a soul connection, your soul is coming out and connecting into the spirit world during that time. So that's the time for the north directions.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't know if this will resonate or not, but are you familiar with Ayurveda at all?
Mm-hmm. I sure am.
Is this similar to that? Because they also have times, and you may not know, and that's totally fine. It's just what's popping in right now, is they have times for different doshas, I think they're called. And I don't know what the times are. I haven't studied it well enough to know, but it's just...
I don't know the times either.
Cool. Okay, well, I'm going to look into that. I'll maybe post later.
I just know Lapita.
Ah, good for you. I'm kind of not sure what I am. I think I might be a kapha. But,
okay.
But sometimes Pita, sometimes Vata. Is that right?
Yeah,
anyway.
And it all integrates together into your being. So you might have more energy here or less energy here. So it's the same thing with the wheel. Like if you have I have too much spirit energy. Go figure.
I can imagine.
Like, Amber, you need some more south energy. And I'm like, I'm trying. It's just something that's hard for me to do unless I, deliberately put my energy into the south.
Yeah. Well,
but I'm naturally a north girl.
Yep.
Most of us are light workers.
Yep.
It's also for elder years. So the life ending of people when they are transitioning. So if you think of like your elders, there are people who have already lived this life and they're contemplating and going back over what happened in this life. And then they're moving and transitioning to the next space. So this north spot, I should say north direction, is more considered for the elders in the elder years too.
Okay.
So you can find out where you are in an age perspective.
Sure.
Okay. It's kind of like the chakras, right? We develop them by age. So at a certain age, you're at, a certain level, and the chakras, even in them, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. You know,
Yeah.
where's the emotions? Where did that stem from? How the childhood effect and those kind of things. It's the same thing for the medicine wheel.
So it is kind of a natural progression along the wheel.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
kind of.
That's if you learn your lesson, right?
There you go.
Don't do the things that you're supposed to do in winter or even in spring. So spring is all about planting your seeds. Your harvest is going to come up in the west direction, and you may not like what you planted. So west is about rebirthing. So it's what you did earlier this year, which is why I love having a journal, so that you can keep dates and track of where you are, what did you do, what were you planting that you didn't like before.
Nice. Well, and I was wondering about that transformative aspect of things, because it seems like a lot of things have kind of a spiral nature to them. So it's cyclic, but it's also spiraled, which is where we get that depth, right? So if we are transforming in some way, then in the West, if we are seeing how what grows from the seeds that we've planted, is it then that the North is where we evolve?
Well, the North is supposed to be where you're connecting in with, your spirit guides and your team, and you're supposed to be receiving at this time and listening at this time. It's not much of doing anything.
So it's almost like course correction.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, it's almost like course correction, maybe. Yes. So you've got stuff coming up in the West and you're not thrilled with it, but instead of making saying, well, I'm going to do this, it's almost, if we're receiving guidance, as many of us do, it's like, oh, maybe I should try this.
I remember I was supposed to do this. I heard, when spirit like drops those nibbles in your head and you're like, I thought about that, but I didn't do that. But now that I did my action and didn't work, maybe I'll try theirs.
Yeah. Yep.
Because my control didn't work.
That's right. Yep.
I'll just try to see what spirit had for it.
Story of my life.
About being like grounded too. Like people don't think about that, because you have to be grounded in order to go up higher. So when we're doing our spiritual north work, we're really working with grounding ourselves too into this physical world, into the present.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. I have questions, but I want you to keep going, and I'll ask mine later, because otherwise we may never get to the end of your notes.
That's okay. I'm sorry I don't have my glasses now that I'm thinking about it. So winter is about the spiritual body, looking for the bigger purpose of why you're here. Who are you here to serve? It's about your belief system. So when I'm doing my program, we work a few weeks on your beliefs so that we can find out not only what your beliefs are, what do you value? So if somebody comes up and you have an interaction that bothers you, well, what belief are you sending out to the universe? What message are you giving out to the universe? So that's really the work of the North. The stuff that you don't like is the shadow side that comes out. And that, I don't know about you, Megan, but it's like lately I was like, are we in retrograde? What is wrong with these people? I've never seen so much go on, like outside of me.
Yeah.
Like, we need to get a hold of this. And it's because we're not listening to our spiritual self to acknowledge our shadow self too. So that's part of the work with the North.
Ooh, so, okay. So beliefs, values, and shadows all kind of in that same realm. That's a lot. And yes, I have been very immersed in those things lately. It's in some ways it's really, I'm losing the word I really want to use, but it's, enlightening in a way. It's like, holy cow, look at all of the beliefs that I've held for so long that have really informed the way I live my life. And they're really all facades, and they're all socially contrived. And, and I believed them all, and now I'm not believing them so much. So now I'm seeing how all of those social influences are impacting other people around me. And, so it's almost like this layered approach to recognizing beliefs and values that I have, but also how I've adopted so many without even really thinking about it. And I'm now rethinking those.
Yes. So my mom said to me one day, I said, I'm going to write a book. And I was like, you know what? I really want it to be in Hay House. And she was, for her, she said, you're going to the top. She's like, honey, you can't go to the top. You have to write for somebody else. And I stopped her and I went, hold on, Mom. And I went through my belief system and I was like, do it like a computer. And I said, oh, that's good. I don't have that belief. Whew. Like,
Excellent.
I was like, wait a minute, he's trying to tell me you need to believe that you have to start here in order to get here.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that true for me? And when I paused her for a minute and I decided in that moment, I'm like, no, that's not true for me. It's like going to my doctor and he says, this is what's going to happen. And I go, wait a minute, is this what's going to happen? And I tune in. I was like, no, that's not what's going to happen. And you get so good with understanding your beliefs and your values in order to impact and direct what's going on around you.
Yep.
So powerful.
Very. And it just seems like a lot of people are going through that right now, that this is, you know, a time for seeing things for what they are and not for what we've been told they are.
Yes. I call it the wake-up call.
Yes.
Or I always say, oh, congratulations, you're leveling up. And a lot of people don't want to hear that because they're like, oh, Amber, I'm leveling up. And I'm like, no, that's a good thing. But we have to get rid of the old stuff. And I do it every day. I go, okay, what am I getting rid of? I said shedding.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And I was like, I didn't cuss.
No. And I don't care if you do. That's totally fine.
What am I shedding or letting go of so that I can renew my belief system?
No, I was just thinking about how you do that every day. That's a really awesome daily practice, one that I can see a lot of benefit in, that I currently am not doing myself, so probably will start.
Well, that's what I do in the beginning, like every morning, just to like wake up my day. If there's something that's lingering on from yesterday, then it wasn't released. You know, so if I had a conversation or if somebody said something to me, then I need to put love into that and bring that to that. And I make myself aware of it. So in shaman world, we actually engage in everything. A lot of times when I have clients and I see them, they're always in avoidance, like their chakras in avoidance. And I go, oh, I see your sacral. It's in avoidance. That means that you're not doing something about a relationship that you're in, or you're not addressing an emotion that you're feeling. And they go, yeah, I don't feel like dealing with that right now. And I'm like, well, then when? So in the shaman world, we engage. We don't turn our back. If something is brought to the table, we deal with it straight out. All of the good and all the bad. So in the morning, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's still lingering. I can't just shove it away. Let me look at it, process it, and then release it.
Ooh, nice. And that must make you, how does that make you feel?
It's awesome. I call it soul talk. So that's how we begin. I have soul talk with myself in the morning, and I'm like, I put my hands on my heart. Amber, you're wonderful. You're beautiful. And then I go into releasing anything and how I want to set up my day.
So then is that a deliberate practice of the North?
No, that's just an addition.
Okay.
No, I just like to throw that in. But the North also addresses ancestors. So we also go back through your ancestor lineage to see what beliefs they're holding on to, because they will show up. And I'm helping people in the course find out exactly who's going to show up for them. So if you have a pattern, easy patterns are ones that you can see: addiction, codependency, those kind of things. But there's a lot of emotional stuff that comes up that you won't be able to see. So if people have like money issues that they're holding on to, money doesn't grow on trees, you have to work hard for the money, then I want to go track the ancestor who created this belief in their lifetime and help assist clear their beliefs so it clears your beliefs. So we do that work in the North as well.
So that's something you do specifically. The student isn't doing that, like going in and finding that. No,
I'm teaching the student how to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not me. I want everybody to learn how to do their own work.
Awesome.
So you can actually pinpoint it. It's not, I have a lot of people who come through and they go, well, I don't know who Jesse is except for my great grandfather who I've never met. And I'm like, no, we need to know that. Like, that's good, because Jesse's not going to show up just to show up. He has something to say to you.
Right.
So
not just passing through.
Yeah. Just want to say hi. I haven't been here since the 1800s. No.
Huh, that's really cool. Okay, so we've got the North, and we've got reflection, we've got recognition of beliefs and values and how they may be obscuring our view of, I'm putting my own words in here, but like of our truth or our soul voice.
That's what it's all about.
Okay. And so then where do you go from there? Conventionally, do you go north to, do you go to west? Do you go to south, east, some other place?
East.
Okay. Interesting.
Unless you live like in Australia. Now you're in the south, right? And then you go west. So it's actually backwards.
Okay, so
but here in America, you're going to go into the east.
Okay. Huh.
When you do ceremonies, you always start in the east first, because the east is about new beginnings, and you end in the north. But if you're going to walk the medicine wheel, as we say, and do it as a lifestyle, it doesn't matter where you start at on the wheel.
Is it really just what calls to you then?
Yep, you
Okay.
got it. Fantastic. Cool. So the east is from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. because you are germinating new seeds in the morning. You're saying, hey, what am I going to do about my day? What's my to-do list? What are we going to set the day up for? So that's always the east. I get most of my work done. I'm the most productive between 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock in the morning. And then after that, I'm like,
So you're up early.
I roll out of bed. I do a 10-minute meditation, and I am on the computer working, because that's just the best time for me to do so. It's cool.
Do you face the direction, or do you just call in the direction?
Yes. So when I'm calling in the direction, so I call in the directions before I do any kind of spiritual work or any kind of connection. It's not as elaborate as what I'm going to do today. It's more of acknowledgement in those directions than getting out, because I can't drum 5:30 in the morning. I would wake everybody up.
I think that'd be a really cool wake up call, you know.
Another reason why you can use that. Yeah, set your alarm clock at 5:30. Tune into Amber. That would be so much fun.
That would be totally. I'm on board for that.
Yeah, that's a neat way to wake up. So this is also really cool. It's everything in your childhood. So you know, when on a larger scale, if we're going from the ages, you plant the seeds in your childhood what you're going to be when you're an adult. Right? You kind of have this idea, this knowing, this, oh, well, that looks kind of interesting. I think I want to do these things. And usually we look back as an adult and say, oh, yeah, I wanted to be that when I grow up. So that's part of the East and planting. I wanted to be a nun.
Really?
I wanted, fourth grade. I'm in public school. It's not like I'm in, like any kind of, religious kind of school or anything. And in that assembly, they said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And my hand shot up. And I said, I want to be a nun. And I can't tell you how many people stared at me. Everybody and got really quiet. And I'm like, what did I do?
Well, I just think it's wonderful that you already knew, at that time, something that you were interested in doing. When I think back to childhood, it explains a lot, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And that actually still shows up today. I had so many interests, I could never narrow it down to one.
Yes. I'm various, because I want to do something with nutrition. So I have a good background in nutrition. I love animals, and I wanted to go to criminal justice, right? So I was going to go to school to be a lawyer, but I didn't like the stuff of being a lawyer. I like the doctor, but I like the naturopath better. We don't have that on our side. So I get that. It's very intertwined in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it is also springtime. It's about the mental body, which is your thoughts and your throat chakra. It's communication. And it's about your mental processes. It's about vision, like what you want to create for the upcoming season. And that's where a lot of people get stuck, like actually seeing themselves all the way through. Yeah. So can you see yourself as the artist, as the environmentalist? Do you like environmentalist stuff?
Me? Not as a profession, but I've always had a strong connection to nature. So in terms of keeping the earth healthy, yes.
Yeah. The planetarian. That's what I see all around you. It's just like woods behind you. And I was like, well, maybe it's really nice for her too. It's also the masculine energy. That's where your action is starting to go, right? It's not so much feminine energy that we were just sitting with spirit for hours and using our intuition in the winter. Now we're going to put stuff into practice and move forward. So there's more masculine energy with that. But it's all about planting. And that's where the phoenix shows up, or any kind of bird. So the bird is always overlooking. So maybe you have an owl, or maybe there's an eagle or a cardinal that comes through. There's no wrong way when you're calling them in to see what shows up for you. So I call in everybody for myself. And then if I have a client, I call in theirs, and I see different animals with theirs. And I get so excited to tell them, and they go, oh, it's a frog. And I'm like, no, do you know how special the frog is? Like, I take it to this whole different level, and they're like, okay, Amber.
There's a lot.
Usually,
go ahead.
Frogs are in the South.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
This is
like the first time I saw a frog hopping to me, I got so excited. I was like, oh, look at that guy.
Well, as you'd mentioned birds, I have just birds are all over my life. I see them before anybody else sees them, like red-tailed hawks are all over the place, but most people don't notice them. I see them all the time, anywhere I go. But I also noticed I'd collected things about birds, even in my room. I was looking, this was last year, but I noticed that I had like this poem, and it was about birds, and then I had this thing that I bought in London about birds, in the song that it sings. And then I have a thing about a chicken. I mean, I have birds all over the place, and I never noticed until more recently this strong connection to birds. And I'm like, well, okay, I'll take it. That's cool.
I love that.
So
I was thinking about that this morning, like how you get these little drops of information, but you don't really notice it until you can put together like the bigger picture of it comes forward.
Yeah.
Like that was my thoughts this morning, Megan. I was like, oh, I didn't get that. Like I remember dating a guy because he was a Native American, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I'm going to go date him. Right. But I didn't know anything about it. I was just drawn to him, or the first time I needed healing was with grandmother Morningstar, who is a Native American, who healed me. And I thought, Amber, why didn't you get on this bandwagon like years ago?
Yeah.
Like Spirit's been dropping birds for you.
Yeah.
Native American stuff all for me. And I never put everything together.
Did you always know your ancestry with your grandfather? Or was that a more recent realization?
No, I knew it, but we didn't talk. He was actually, what was he doing? He was either sleeping every time I saw him, but we never really had like a conversation. Like he was just old. I don't know. Maybe I was just young, but I never had like that open conversation with him.
Sure.
But I've always known like my ancestors are around me. And when I'm connecting in with spirit, those are the first people to come through all the time.
Wow.
And it never occurred to me. Like even when I went into my basement and I was taking my laundry over and I heard George is over here. And I'm like, who's George? Oh, well, another dead guy. My laundry. And then I found out that George is either my grandmother's father or brother. They're both named George. And then she says, I just want to let you know, my brother was really into the kind of stuff that you do. And I was like, oh, maybe it's probably him. So I need to spend more time with him. But I always feel like they're always around. Like anytime I do, like healing session, first people to come through are the ancestors.
Wow.
Fantastic.
That's wonderful.
It's so cool. It's neat stuff. I love this stuff.
Me too.
So the birds for you is east, okay? And it's also about self-confidence and clarity. It's the solar plexus chakra. That's the one that you're working with. Then we move to the south. The south is not my favorite. The south I need help on. It's all about water and emotions. So, there's a few things about emotions. One, you have to recognize your emotions and step back to view them. Sometimes I don't understand them. Sometimes, emotions, we make into this big deal. So the south is a little bit more issue with me. Right? You have to use I call it your emotional intelligence, because you can't just feel it. You have to, why am I feeling that? I have to let go. I have to release. And that's part of the other feminine energy that comes through. So we do feminine, masculine, masculine.
Okay, sure.
Which is really neat. It's from the time 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. So I said it was going to be west earlier, it's south earlier. So 12 to 6 when we're doing our emotional work. Honey, how was your day? What happened today? Your boss usually yells at you around 3 o'clock when it's time to go home. You know what I mean? Like those kind of things. You're a young adult, usually in college. You already know what you want to do in the East. So now you're trying to pursue those dreams. You're trying to put your foot into the door and make them become a reality. So that's in the age timeline. It's about self-care, your sacral, about sensuality, creativity, those kind of things. And it's also about the dolphin, the frog, or the salmon are usually the 3 popular animals that you have.
Okay.
I work with whales. Like, I've always wanted to save the whales.
Mm.
It was like, ever since the movie Free Willy came out, it was all for the whales. So I don't get a dolphin, I get a whale.
Well, that's okay. Whales are awesome. I was just thinking how
they're really intelligent.
My sister loves dolphins, so I'm piecing these little things together. But I was also curious about, so as a young adult, I did not follow the traditional track, and I basically just followed, probably the biggest time I followed my intuition, not necessarily whole in a spiritual sense, but I was a wanderer, an explorer, an adventurer during that time. And then I went to college in what I would imagine is going to be the West at that age. So it's really interesting to me to hear that that's, the young adult and what is the meaning of that if it's different than following convention.
Yes. So I was going to go to Mount St. Mary's, which is a Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, are you there?
Yes, you froze for a moment, but now you're back.
Okay, it just went black on my screen too. I was going to go to Mount St. Mary's, which is a Catholic school. And again, I'm not Catholic, but I wanted to go be this nun. Which I never went to Catholic school.
So you really stayed with that for a while.
I really did. I did. And I actually applied to one in California, which was an all-girls school. And I got into that and I went, all girls, I need some men in my life. So then I went to the one in Maryland and applied, and I got into that. And that was the only 2 colleges that I applied to.
Wow.
So here I got into it. But one day I was driving and my husband now was walking on the street and I thought he was hot and my intuition picked in and said, pick him up. So I pull over on the car and I said, hey, you want to ride? Hop in. And we've been together ever since. So I never went to college because I guess that would be my South, was picking up in relationships and following my intuition. And instead I picked up my husband.
It's fantastic. I love that story. That is amazing.
Yeah. I had a really good intuition. So now I'm going back through the college years and trying to catch up because I became a mom after that.
Yeah, well, there's always a good time to go to school in my view. I enjoy school. So, it's kind of
I do too.
Always been a big part of my life.
And I thought how differently my life would look if I actually went to pursue whatever I was going to pursue that I have no idea anything about.
Yeah. Wow.
Knew I wanted to do it. So after the South, then you're going to end in the West direction again. So the West is about 6 p.m. to 12 p.m. And that's your adulthood. Mm. That's probably where you're at. And autumn, right? It's about fall, letting go, harvesting, cropping, rebirthing. So this is when all of the seeds come up. And usually all this crazy pink moons, blue moons, full moons, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, what is that? So if you don't like what you planted, then you're just going to have to pick it out and plant something else.
Well, and so, yeah. I think you're going to go here, so I'm not going to ask the question yet. I'm just going to let you roll with it.
Okay. It also has to do with your physical body and detoxing. Mm. I am really good about detoxing every fall, and by winter, I'm off the bandwagon. Even though everybody else is exercising because it's, January 1st. And they're like, I have to go to Planet Fitness, Amber. And I'm like, okay. But I got off that bandwagon maybe because of all the holiday stuff. But when fall hits, I'm really paying attention to my body. That's when I have the most physical issues that come present. And I go, well, what didn't I heal? Or what do I need to look at? Oh. Because if it physically manifested, you're holding on to something for too long.
So this is the way to tell, because I've had physical issues show up in the fall, so has my husband, and that's really interesting. I hadn't looked at it, of course, that way because I didn't know about this approach. And but I know that they're manifestations of energy, and I've been wondering what those things are because they're so different for me. Really interesting. And what am I holding on to? Yes.
Right? What did you let go throughout the whole entire season that you planted out in the East?
Yeah.
And now it's here and it's arrived and you still haven't let go. And that's really one of the big things that I find all the time working in the seasons is what do you need to release? Because if you want to change and you want to move forward, I had this guy in here the other day. He's going to be an exceptionally great healer, but he can't get out of the past. Like his mind just keeps going there. And I'm like, you can't have room to move forward if you're always holding on to that. So I need you to really release that and step into your own power, because that's taking your power. So the whole entire course and the whole entire year is about empowering you. Like what strengths do you have? What do we need to work on? And it's this beautiful self journey more than anything. And that's why I really love walking the medicine wheel.
Well, yeah. And I can see why. There's so much richness to it.
More than northeast, southwest, right?
Yes, big time.
Which is all that one dimension. It's about self-care, and it's about boundaries. And gratitude. You know how like in fall time, we're so grateful for everything. We're grateful for our abundance.
Yes.
Thanksgiving. Yep.
So boundaries are in the West as well. Okay. That's interesting. Wow. I keep thinking I've always been, well, I don't know that I fit that description, but West has always been, when thinking about North, South, East, and West as far as locations to live and things like that, I've always really had an affinity for the West. We live in the western part of the metro here. I lived in the West Coast. My favorite ocean is the Pacific. You know, it's like all of these things. And when I grew up, I was on the West Side. I went to, the West High School, and all of it's almost like I always gravitate towards the West. But I can't say that I've always necessarily had the best boundaries in the world. That self-empowerment and things like that hasn't necessarily been a thing for me until more recently. So maybe is it showing me where growth is an opportunity?
Yes. So the West is about rebirth and transformation.
No, okay.
So what happens if the things that you can't let go of to be able to transform, or stepping into your own game? I always say your power game, right?
Sure.
Because when I wake up in the morning, I go, how powerful can you be today? What else can you do? And it's not like powerful in this ego sense. It's more powerful as in I'm aligning myself to where I want to be at.
And alignment has been like a word for me for years, maybe longer. So that makes total sense. Transformation is one of that's like a big part of who I am and how I operate. So it's like interesting to hear how all of those things fit together.
Yes.
Oh, really interesting.
Like think about when you're eating too. We were told to eat towards the seasons, right? Because your body is following in alignment with that. And now, you can have anything on your plate. You can go to the grocery store and have salmon in the middle of, in a winter that you can't get outside to the grocery store in, whatever.
Right.
But there's the fish. So it's like different seasons. So when you start eating according to your body, you start detoxing your body, you're able to also step into more of a spiritual practice because your body's going to be lighter instead of heavier down with chemicals and toxins and things like that. So it all goes together, all of it.
I'm just laughing because that detox thing is something I'm not very fond of, and yet I can tell that this would be a very helpful thing from a spiritual growth perspective, and I'm resisting it. I have been resisting it for like ever.
Girl, me too. That's like Spirit has been telling me for years, Amber, give up the gluten, give up the coffee. And I was like, okay, after today. And then tomorrow, okay, after tomorrow. And I was like, can I just have one more?
So pulling it all together from these, is it okay to do that? Because I know we're running about 15 minutes before you have to be at the bus stop. So
oh, okay. Got it. Thank you. All right.
How do you, is there some, general, introductory exercise or practice that people could do to incorporate these 4 or 7, depending on how you want to do it, directions into our lives, just to get started?
Like an everyday practice kind of thing.
Yeah.
So instead of focusing on all 7, just focus on the 4.
Okay.
And whatever season you are in. So right now we're in winter, I'm in,
North?
Or what hemisphere are we in? Northern? Being in the northern hemisphere, we're over in winter right now. So whatever season you are in, look at the paper over the notes, and then I want you to start gravitating towards, okay, I'm in the north hemisphere right now. We're going to do winter, so I should be in introspective meaning. And even in my program, I give you a calendar. And I say, look, I want you to meditate. That's what we're going to do it. I want you to start carving out the time for meditation. I want you to carve out your you time. And then I want you to create everything else around it, because that's really what it's about. So that's one of the ways that you can instill all the practices in. When am I going to meditate? When am I going to tune in? When am I going to journal? Even like walking out in nature every day is a very symbolic way to get in touch. Not only do you need the vitamin D, but you need to get back in touch with nature in those practices. You can make anything spiritual. So when I wake up in the morning, I really wanted something that would be in the physical world and spiritual and bring it together. So I show you how your words, everything that you say it's kind of like a contract with the universe. Are you saying good things to the universe, or are you not saying good things? You start looking at those things. And then we do rituals and ceremonies into like gathering with your ancestors, and we make an altar that's just for you. Like, what is your higher self altar? You can do that as well. So I put a picture of me as a kid because I'm really trying to heal my little son, my little self. I'm not a son. My little self. I put that into my altar, and I made it all about me and loving me. So those are things that you can do to get started.
That's so cool. I love the idea of an altar for you to heal you.
Yeah.
And
all about you.
And making anything spiritual, really. I love that idea. So, okay, so you had mentioned notes, which then I can, that you're going to send to me. Is that what I heard, or did I mishear?
I meant my notes.
Oh, okay. Would you be willing to send those to me so I can add
type them up so you don't look at all my scratch.
Oh.
Because that's how my brain just works.
Sure. Okay. Well, if you're willing to do that, otherwise I can type them up. I'm fine either way, but I think it would be really cool to have a little supplement for those who are especially watching the replay and stuff and want to go back and learn this. So then, since we're running short on time, do you want to do the drum piece that you were going to do?
So, yes, although I just heard the footprints that went upstairs into our massage room, so I'm going to have to use the rattle instead.
Okay.
Because they give massages upstairs, and there's nothing like that in a massage. All right. So the things that you need to know about journeying. This is what I want you guys to do. You can do it with a drum. You can do it with beans in a cup. It doesn't matter. You just want to make some kind of rattle sound with it. It doesn't have to be, like a real drum. But when you're calling in the spirits, you usually start in the east, south, west, north.
Okay.
I've always started in the north,
so
I always have to correct myself. It's just the way it is. So you're going to stand in your room, whatever direction that you have, and you're going to start with your rattle. You imagine or visualize connecting from you over to the other side, like a rainbow bridge is coming over to the other side and connecting in with the east. And then I started to play with what kind of scenes do I see over there, like environmental. Is it going to be a rainforest? Am I in the woods? Am I in the cave? And whatever sense comes first, I just go with it, and I wait for an animal to come. So there's no wrong way. The problem is, it's not a problem, but if you stop the rattle, it disconnects. So you have to continue it. A lot of people whistle, and for whatever reason, I was having issues whistling this morning. But that's how you call them in. You rattle and and that's like, hey, I'm right here. Come on over. Okay. And then you keep changing directions. You would go to the south, and then you would start and you would visualize this bridge and allow whatever scene comes up, environmental scene, and whatever animal comes up. And you do it for all fourth, and you end with a ho. So a ho is like, thank you.
Okay.
All
right. So you're ending with oh, and you don't have to say anything. You're really just doing the rattle, whistling, and visualizing.
Yeah. And if you go to YouTube, you can do shamanic drumming, and it's just this consistent drum going back and forth. And at first I thought it was really irritating. I didn't like the sound. You're used to meditation and music and this beautiful. And then I bought myself a drum, And then I like fell deep in love with it. So you might need to get yourself a drum if you're like really turned off, and actually, because you lose yourself in it.
Yeah.
So if we do a circle at my work and I start going, what is everybody thinking of me? Am I on beat? Am I doing it right? I focus back on the drum and you get lost in it. So you get lost in your meditations. So it's really cool. There's also like, there's a whole prayer at the beginning that you can do. I haven't done it, but you can Google shamanic prayer for the directions. And I believe it's by Four Winds that came up with, "Oh serpent, come in this, that, or the other." I just do my own prayer.
Okay.
So if it works, why change it? Feels good, then it feels good. So you're going to face in. You're going to start off by facing your direction. I like to say, "Hello, ancestors of the East. Hear my prayer. Please assist me today in," and then whatever I'm doing. If it's in the day, in my activities, and you start. So get comfortable, and you're just going to be guided. And you're going to start visualizing your bridge on the East Rainbow Bridge. It's being connected. And whatever kind of environment that you see, that is yours. Aho, spirits of the East, lend your ear. Please come in today. Join us in our circle. Thank you. Aho, ancestors of the South, please lend me your ear. Please come in today. Join us in our circle. Aho. Aho, ancestors of the West, lend me your ear. Come in today. Please assist us in our circle. Thank you. Aho, ancestors of the North, lend me your ear. Please come with us in the circle today. Thank you. So this polar bear was messing with me.
Is that when you were laughing?
Big polar bear come in. I was like, oh, thank goodness I'm hot. I love it. So when you get this rattle, and you can go, and you will notice that my hands, everything changes speeds. It's not like when I'm doing a healing session, I allow spirit to come into my hands and they will lift up my hands, move it, shift it, do whatever they need to do. It's every time I'm touching a drum or even if I'm touching a rattle, I just allow spirit to move. Because once you pick up a drum, if you get like, really, am I doing this right? What's going on? Is this step right? When you get engaged into it, you might play 5 different beats and not even notice it.
Sure.
It's amazing, but you really can blend in there and get everything going. And it's wonderful. Well,
it seems like spirit then helps to influence the flow of that energy in ways that consciously we wouldn't know to do. And
right.
That just, I love it. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I really wish I could drum for you. Because that's what I love to do.
Well,
and it's just a different sound. But if you can YouTube, and there's tons of, some people drum and do, like the rattle at the same time. Sandra Ingerman is one of the well-known shamans, and she's for a beginner, and she's probably written 8 books of how to do different things. So she's one of the awesome people that I turn to as well.
Excellent. Well, what I'm going to do is I will set up a unit in the Facebook group. I can either call it the Cardinal Directions because that's what we called this, or it could be the Medicine Wheel, or maybe I'll put both. But I can add some of the links to these different people that you've talked about. And since Amber has only a few minutes before she has to run to pick up her children. But so if you have questions and things like that, add them here, and then we'll make sure to tag you, Amber, in that. But also, I'll invite you to go on and just do a drum ceremony of your own if you would like to in that area too. That would be really cool.
We can do like a whole 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, which I love the drum. I never knew I liked it until Bliss Retreat, and then had those experiences. Okay. And it was like, wow, this is so intense, and in a really good way. And amazing visualizations came through those experiences that I would like more of. So
yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us here today. For those of you who are watching either live or on the replay, there is, you know what, and did I even add these because I was in such a hurry when we came on? Let me add Amber's, oh, no, you know what? Is that the one? Yep. Use code MASHUP for $50 off of Amber's Shaman Journey mentorship. Actually, I thought I had changed this, but it's the gold program, I believe. And somewhere in here, you know what, I will post Amber's contact information and all of these things below in the comments of this. Only people who watch the live or the replay get this discount. So make sure you say Mashup when you do it. And I hope you do sign up for this. It sounds like a really wonderful program.
Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to come on. I love being with you. We haven't been on since last year sometimes.
I know.
Like, can you come on? I was like, yes, Megan time.
Yes, and then we have a mashup coming up as well later this month.
27th, I believe.
Yep, and that one will be in the Lightworkers Lab. You'll see that event posted here and in the Facebook page and all of that other fun stuff. So thank you again, Amber.
Thank you so much.
And thanks everyone for joining us. Please make sure to continue to comment. Let's keep the conversation going, and we'll add to this in the unit marked Cardinal Directions / Medicine Wheel.
Love it.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much.
All right. Thank you, Amber. Thanks everyone.
Bye,
Have a wonderful day.